G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talk Stuff Ukraine War update for the 7th of May 2026. I'm your host, the author David Applegate, and as usual we'll start with the Ukraine map from Live Map Ukraine. And as we look around the map, some announcements from Kiev. Who cares? They're not important, just political blather. We have movement, but nothing spectacular going on in the buffer zone, Russian border. Now, Russian drone strikes on Sumy have collapsed a building. They haven't said which or where at the time of recording. Operations going on in Kupiansk. Now, down here, now, Ukraine's reporting movement in Peninsky, but the Russians have moved past Peninsky rather rapidly. But they moved past there. For some reason, I guess, they're not mentioning these towns here. But, yeah. This is, the area is known as Kupiansk. Volley. Kupiansk itself is up here. There's all these little towns around this area. And so, with the Russians controlling the river, of course, to some extent. But no one side has been able to push the other further back. So it's always back to their well-fortified positions. But for the Ukrainians, this is life or death, according to them, but so is it for the Russians. Now, I don't know why Kupiansk is so important to the Russians, but it seems to be important. But it's not so important that they'd put as much manpower it is in keeping and holding it as they do with other locations. So I think it's important to their overall strategy. That's about it. Same with Lyman. It seems to be more important to their strategy than to actually take and hold it. So there's only been slight movement on the map here in Kupiansk region, a little bit here west of Seversk. Now, the Ukrainians said the Russians have advanced, but the map doesn't show it on Overlink. But it could be that they've brought up more troops and it's just poor translation. But so, yeah, advanced on. Just a poor translation. It's the same here. They've advanced on. Yeah. But so far, they have not broken the Ukrainian lines here. Now, sorry, pardon me. As we go around the map, for the rest of the map, there is nothing really to report other than Dnipro took a battering, Mykolaiv as well, the usual exchanges at Kherson. It's actually, believe it or not, that's an old marker. There is lot less deaths today than usual. Good thing. Now, seems Hungary has returned the money seized by the Orban government. Now, it was illegally transported. They did not follow procedure, but it was also overblown. And again, Zelensky wanting to play games because there's no backlash on him for his rotten behaviour. I remember all of this is, my channel is brought to it. Start again. Remember, my channel is funded by you, the viewing audience. So I'm not beholden to governments or political parties like most channels. Yes, that means I do not have a built-in audience of sycophants and activists, but I have an honest audience who is not propagandized by the mainstream media into blindly believing everything. Like a couple of staged goons showing off essentially nothing just to pose for a propaganda picture to say, hey, we attacked Russia with hundreds of drones and they attacked us, but we shut them all down, we swear. Well, if you swear, then why don't you show us the explosions? Why don't you allow independent reporting? Yeah. Once again, Ukraine propagandizes and people aren't buying it. In fact, the Ukrainian GDP has gone down. Obviously, annual terms, right now, the average is 0.7% in the first quarter. But it's Russian devastation. Russia's taken a chunk out of the Ukrainian economy, and even with all the money from, say, Canada, in the middle of a healthcare and housing crisis, Canada's giving away money, even though their revenue is also under pressure. Particularly as Alberta most likely will declare its independence soon, although they are dragging their heels on that for good reason. They only have one vote at it, so they have to give it their best shot. Now again, Zelensky suffers no consequences, but someone leaked an audio tape of the arms makers at Fairpoint fearing an end to the conflict. Alexei Gordenko is opposed to the Ukraine conflict, apparently, and more likely opposed to Zelensky, and has always brought up the fact that there's a major corruption case against Zelensky's business partner, Timur Medvedich, who, longtime business partner and associate of Zelensky, is on the run, allegedly. I would say more likely buried in a field somewhere, but that's just my opinion. Now, over the weekend, he claimed to have obtained transcripts from surveillance of Medvedich and his business partners and published them, known as the Medvedich tapes. Though they're yet to be verified, it shows that they're panicking. And as soon as the peace agreement is signed, so not if, but when, the hoax which they've been getting funded will be no more. Yeah, that is the lie. They know the war is a lie. They know they started the war. They know they lied about the causes of the war. And they're lying about the state of the war. Although for some reason Russia rarely calls them out. And no one in the West really pays attention, as you can see. Otherwise millions would flock to my channel and go, holy shit. But now and again, the mainstream media does call out. Even The Guardian has called out Zelensky sometimes. But it's so rare. It's almost been a year since The Guardian's reminded us that some of Zelensky's business partners have rather suspicious-looking tattoos of skulls and crossbones. And no, we're just edgelords, man. We're not Nazis. But his whole election campaign was built on peace, and yet war is more profitable, and it has been very profitable for Zelensky, although the Russians did blow up his holiday home in Crimea. Oopsies! Alright, so his entire campaign going forward, they were planning a political campaign or something, is that, they are hoping to get rid of Zelensky. He's a liability now. Arms, where's the flamingo? People have asked, where's the flamingo? What happened in UAE and Singapore and all these other, big drone contracts or whatever? I'm not saying everything is a hoax. They can produce drones. The problem is they cannot profitably and reliably produce drones without the use of large numbers of people paid next to nothing, subsidised by all these donations. If they had to stand alone as a profitable industry without the war, no, they would fall apart. And some of these drone interceptors, they're already outdated technology. As drones are getting faster, can outmaneuver and relies on the pilot to be able to guide the drone to intercept the incoming drone. Visual guidance on an interceptor drone with a narrow field of view and prone to jamming. And now Russians are working on a system to fire upon the drone operators to trace the signal back to the source and take them out. Now, so far, a lot of relay stations have been taken out, so Ukraine was anticipating this, but that's still, unverified, which is weird. But again, the performance of drones in Ukraine, again, the specifications for the Russian drones seem to come up differently, and it does also appear that glide bombs are increasingly used. Now, the FAB 500 has increased in production, but they're still making the bigger ones like the 1000 and 2000 and 3000. Now, I think this is the 3000 right here. Now, they are launched by Russian jets at high speed to give them momentum to do what's called a bomb toss. That is to literally fly up high and fast to toss the bomb so it arcs over a large distance before its release of the wings and glides to its target. Now, Ukrainian forces haven't lost many people overall this week, but last week was rather bloody. And of course, with the sporadic ceasefires by both sides in order to try and win advantage over each other, it's getting to be that both sides are as bad as each other. Though, both countries have their faults, but Europe is doing nothing about Ukraine's faults, and that is the problem. If Ukraine cleaned up their act, of course, Zelensky would be out of business. He'd be gone. The Ukraine war would be over within months. Anti-corruption bodies would sweep through Ukraine, arresting thousands. But the fear, of course, by these organisations is if they don't catch anybody, they get shut down. If they catch too many people, they eventually get shut down anyway. There's no winning in law enforcement. There's only getting through the day. Too many people want big, spectacular crimes. They want the entertainment, basically, of big busts, watching others get taken down, to somehow assure themselves every day that, they're doing something about the corrupt. But a lot of people are talking about corruption, but do nothing or assume corruption. Now, again, most of the allegations against Zelensky have either been disproven or forgiven, like the Polish drone scandal, or the Polish missile scandal, or the Ukrainian spy caught in Poland scandal. Twice one with an underage girl, allegedly. The state of the war is, today there wasn't much action. That's a good thing. Let's hope leading up to the ceasefire, the number of reported incidences decrease and the Trump ceasefire starts to take effect, because we really know who's putting the pressure on both sides to stop fighting. And it's not Zelensky, and it's not Putin. Although Trump isn't the only one calling for peace, there aren't that many European countries who are as well. So thank you all for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Please support the channel. You can support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video, and bye for now.